This home in Kailua was sold for 1.2 million 9 months ago. Now it's back at 1.9.
9 months ago, this home sold for $1.2 million. Today, it's listed at just under $1.93 million. Same walls, same lot, completely different price tag, and what happened in between is the whole story. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu, and we're on Oahu's windward side, in Kailua, in a pocket called Enchanted Lake, right after wrapping 3 videos over in Hawaii Kai. That comparison matters because the story on this side of the island right now looks nothing like the one we just told over there. I'm not just walking you through this house room by room. I'm going to show you the real Oahu, Hawaii real estate market data behind a renovation like this one, so you can tell the difference between a smart flip and a genuine gut renovation, because the market prices those two things very differently. Quick baseline before we get into it. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, about 1,600 square feet of living space with flex space, bringing the total closer to 2,500, on a lot just over 7,600 square feet. Built in 1961, and nearly every bit of that 1961 structure has been touched in this remodel. Walking in, vaulted ceilings overhead, and the whole front of the home opens straight into an open concept living room, kitchen, and dining space, no walls chopping any of it up. That kind of flow is worth noticing because a lot of Kailua's older single-wall homes from this era were built as a row of closed-off rooms. And opening one up like this is real construction, not a cosmetic update. Here's the number behind what you're looking at. This same house sold in October for that 1.2 million, listed at the time as needing major repair, sold as is for cash with no agent representing the buyer. 10 months later, it's back, fully renovated, asking just under 1.93 million. That's a gain of roughly 723,000, right around 60% in under 10 months. And it's not a one-off. Another home in this same Enchanted Lake pocket did almost the identical thing, purchased around 1.25 million and resold after renovation at 2 million, a gain of about 750,000, again close to 60%. 2 separate houses, 2 separate sellers, the same math twice. That's a pattern, not a lucky roll of the dice. The kitchen is where this particular renovation really shows itself. Gas range, 2 full ovens, which is genuinely useful if you're the one hosting Thanksgiving, and a dedicated wine fridge tucked in alongside them. A single sink position to look straight out at the backyard while you're doing dishes, which sounds small until you're the one standing there every night, and suddenly doing dishes is the good part of the evening instead of the chore. New cabinets, granite counters, new appliances throughout, and that's layered on top of new walls, new windows, new doors, new roofing, new flooring, new electrical. Here's a different kind of value worth knowing about, since we're already talking about what actually moves a monthly payment. Twice a month, I pull a fresh, free list of close to 100 Oahu homes where the seller's existing loan can pass straight to the buyer instead of a brand new mortgage being written. And some of those loans are locked at 2 to 3%, years below anything available today. Click the link below this video, drop your email, and get the list twice a month. To the side of the kitchen, there is a separate space with its own entrance, one that could be closed off completely from the main house. No bathroom in this particular section, so realistically, it works best as a home office rather than a guest suite, especially useful if you see clients at home, run a small practice, or just want a door you can close between the workday and everything else. There is a sink already in place and a window that catches a partial water view. A small extra you would not necessarily expect in a converted flex room like this one. If you're picturing a therapist's office, a small consulting practice, or anything that brings people to your front door for appointments, this is exactly the kind of layout that makes that workable without turning your entire home into a waiting room. Enchanted Lake is sitting at under 2 months of supply right now, 1.8 months to be exact, well under the entire Oahu's already tight 3.5 months. Anything under 3 months is generally considered a seller's market, and under 2 is about as tight as this island gets. New listings here are actually up over 8% in the past year, even as new listings across the rest of Oahu dropped close to 4.5%, which tells you sellers are choosing to list here specifically, likely because they're seeing what homes like this one are actually closing for. And yet the trailing count of homes actually sitting on the market averages only around 6 at a time, down another 14% year over year. Sellers are testing this pocket and buyers are absorbing it almost as fast as it comes on. Here's what that combination actually means depending on which side of the table you're sitting on. If you're a seller in Enchanted Lake right now, rising new listings alongside falling standing inventory means you have real room to price with confidence. Buyers are not being given the luxury of waiting you out. If you're a buyer, it means the home you like today may not be there in 2 weeks. And it means getting pre-approved and ready to move before you start touring, not after you've already found the one you want. Pending sales here are up close to 15% over the past year, while closed sales are down just under 3%, and that gap is not bad news. It's a leading indicator. It means more deals are already moving through the pipeline than have shown up in the closed numbers yet. And close volume tends to catch up a month or two behind pending. Median days on market here is 15, 5 days faster than the rest of Oahu's 20, even with inventory this thin. One number that might surprise you: homes here are still closing at around 98% of list price, which is actually a touch below the rest of Oahu's 100%. In a market this competitive, that's not a red flag. It usually means sellers are pricing accurately from the start instead of testing the ceiling. So buyers aren't having to bid as far above ask to win, and sellers aren't leaving money on the table waiting for an offer that never comes. If you're new to the term, months of supply is simply how long it would take to sell every home currently listed at the current sales pace, assuming nothing new came on the market. Under 2 months, like Enchanted Lake right now, means a seller can generally price with confidence and expect real competition, while a buyer needs financing ready to go before they've even found the home they want, because hesitation here costs you the house. One more number before we move on, and this one is easy to miss. The tax assessment on this property hasn't caught up to the renovation yet. It's still valued around $1.4 million for tax purposes. Monthly taxes sitting around $772, both numbers reflecting the pre-renovation version of this house. That is not unusual right after a remodel, but if you are estimating your own carrying costs on a renovated home anywhere on Oahu, ask your agent whether the county assessment has been updated, because the number on the listing sheet and the number you eventually get taxed on can be two very different things for a while. Another flex room currently staged as an office, and then the bedrooms start. Split air conditioning is installed in every single room here, which in a Hawaii renovation is genuinely worth pointing out, because that is a real cost most buyers never budget for on an older home that has not been updated room by room. The primary suite sits toward the back of the home, and it reads like a real suite, not just a bedroom with a bathroom attached to it. A walk-in closet, its own bathroom with a soaking tub, and an additional flex room off to the side, office space or a sitting area, whatever you need it to be. The soaking tub alone is worth a mention. It's not something every renovation budget stretches to include, and it's the kind of detail that tells you where this particular renovation chose to spend rather than cut corners. At just under $1.93 million, this home lands in the upper middle of what's currently active or recently sold in Enchanted Lake, a range that this pool put roughly between the high 900,000s and $3.75 million. It's not the top of the pocket, and it's not the entry point either. It's priced right where a fully renovated, move-in ready home in this neighborhood tends to sit. And that's really the choice this pocket is presenting right now. Pay this kind of premium for something completely finished, the way this seller did with the purchase last October, or buy something dated at a lower number and take on the renovation yourself. Both paths are active in Enchanted Lake right now, and neither one is automatically the smarter move. It depends entirely on your own timeline, cash position, and appetite for managing a renovation. There's a real cost difference worth putting real numbers on. Buying finished means your monthly payment is locked in from day one. No surprise change orders, no permit delays, no living through construction. Buying dated and renovating yourself means a lower starting price, but it also means financing or fronting the renovation costs separately, managing contractors, and carrying the timeline risk that comes with any construction project on Oahu, where permitting alone can take months longer than people expect. Neither path is wrong, but they're genuinely different financial products dressed up as the same decision. And it's worth running the real numbers on both before assuming the lower list price is actually the cheaper option once everything is said and done. This is not paint and staging. This is a full gut renovation, and the demand data around it backs that up. One practical thing worth asking about on any renovation this extensive, here or anywhere on Oahu, were permits actually pulled for the work. A remodel touching electrical, plumbing, roofing, and structural walls the way this one did should show up in the county's permit history. And that paperwork is part of what protects you as a buyer if something was done without proper inspection along the way. That's not a red flag question. It's just part of doing the homework on a home that changed this much in under a year. It's also fee simple land, meaning you own the ground under the house outright. No ground lease to pay or eventually renegotiate, which matters here because a meaningful share of Oahu's inventory is leasehold instead. And that distinction alone can change a home's real cost by hundreds of dollars a month. Outside, the backyard tells its own small story. There is a canal running along the edge of the property, brand new landscaping still filling in, and hibiscus already blooming. The washer and dryer live outside here, not tucked into an interior laundry room, along with a utility sink and extra storage tucked along the side of the house. If you're someone who's used to laundry living indoors, that's worth flagging for yourself now rather than discovering it at the final walkthrough. Otherwise, it's clean, it's new, and it's still growing into itself, which is exactly what you'd expect 9 months after a renovation like this one. Landscaping is one of those things that always looks a little sparse in the first year and then fills in fast in Hawaii's climate. And out at the street, this is about as quiet and residential as Enchanted Lake gets. Tucked back from the busier roads with a creek or canal running along the property line, that's genuinely part of what makes this pocket feel the way it does. Before we wrap up, 2 more things worth knowing about Enchanted Lake, and they cut in opposite directions. Not every renovation story here ends the way this one did. One home in this same pocket has been listed and canceled 3 separate times over the past couple of years. The price coming down with each relist, and it still has not sold. But a different seller nearby handled it the other way. They listed at $2.6 million. It sat for months without an offer. They cut the price to $2.46 million, and it sold in about 6 weeks. Same neighborhood, 2 very different outcomes. And the difference in both cases came down to pricing to where the market actually was. Here is one more number before you go. Homes in Enchanted Lake are running close to $943 a square foot right now, compared to about $699 across the rest of Oahu. And that gap actually widened about 7% over the past year, while the island-wide number barely moved at all. That is the kind of premium a tight, in-demand pocket like this one commands. Numbers like that are exactly why locking in the right rate matters. So if you missed it earlier, my free Assumable loan list, close to 100 homes across Oahu, updated twice monthly. The link is in the description. Drop your email and get the list. I'm Oksana with Island Living Oahu. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.